He was just a professor's assistant. But he stole my heart in the library. The library had always been my refuge, a quiet, sacred space where I could escape the chaos of university life. It was a world of worn wooden tables, the faint smell of old books, and rows upon rows of shelves that seemed to stretch infinitely. I came here often, notebook in hand, to lose myself in poetry, philosophy, and literature. Little did I know that this sanctuary would become the place where my heart would be stolen. It was a Wednesday afternoon, the kind where golden sunlight filtered through tall windows, casting soft patterns on the floor. I was bent over my notes, trying to decipher a particularly dense passage from a modern American poet, when I first noticed him. He was standing a few aisles away, scanning the shelves, completely absorbed. Dark hair slightly tousled, glasses perched on his nose, and a casual elegance that seemed effortless, he looked out of place yet entirely at home. I tried to focus on my notes, but curiosity pulled me toward him. Something about the way he studied the books, the faint crease of concentration on his brow, was magnetic. He didn't look like a student, not with the confident way he carried himself. And then he looked up. Our eyes met, and for a heartbeat, the library's quiet faded into nothingness. "You're looking for something specific?" His voice was calm, warm, slightly teasing. I startled, fumbling with my pen. I think so," I stammered. He smiled, small and knowing, that made my chest tighten. "I'm Ethan. I assist Professor Caldwell with his classes. Sometimes, I help students find the right books too." I nodded, trying not to appear flustered, though my heart was racing. There was something about him, a quiet intensity, that drew me in immediately. Over the next week, I began noticing him more often. Sometimes he was near the poetry section, sometimes in the philosophy aisle. Each encounter felt accidental but never truly was. He seemed to appear whenever I needed help, always with a calm, charming demeanor. "You read too much and don't talk enough," he joked one afternoon, handing me a volume of poetry I had been hunting for. I laughed nervously. "And you watch me too much, it seems." "Maybe I do," he said, his gaze holding mine a little too long. "But can you blame me?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. My pulse had gone haywire. He was just a professor's assistant, I reminded myself, nothing more. And yet, my thoughts betrayed me. Weeks passed, and our interactions grew more frequent, more personal. We discussed books, shared favorite poems, and debated the merits of modern literature. He had a subtle charm, a mix of humor and intelligence, that made me feel alive in a way I hadn't before. I found myself looking forward to library sessions more than classes. I found myself thinking about him when I should have been studying. One rainy evening, the library was nearly empty. I sat by a window, watching raindrops race down the glass, scribbling notes for my thesis. Suddenly, Ethan appeared with 2 cups of coffee. "For you," he said, handing me one. "You look like you need a break." My heart skipped. "You remembered." "Of course. I notice things," he said, settling in across from me. His eyes were dark and intense, but warm, and my chest tightened again. We sat in silence for a few minutes, sipping coffee, listening to the rain. The quiet comfort between us felt electric, charged with something neither of us admitted yet. Then he spoke, softly, almost a whisper. "You're unforgettable." My heart raced, and I looked away, pretending to adjust my notes. But I could feel his gaze lingering on me. That night, I left the library with my mind in a whirl, unable to shake the warmth of his presence. Days turned into weeks. Library sessions stretched longer, from 2 hours to 5. Sometimes he leaned over my shoulder to point out a passage, fingers brushing mine, sending shivers up my arm. Sometimes we laughed quietly over shared jokes, our faces close enough to feel each other's breath. One evening, as the golden light of sunset spilled into the library, he leaned toward me. "I can't stop thinking about you," he whispered. I froze. My mind screamed caution, but my heart whispered surrender. "Ethan," I breathed, barely daring to speak. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from my face. His fingers lingered, warm and electrifying. "May I?" Before I could respond, he kissed me, softly, tentatively, exploring the boundaries. My body responded instantly. I had never felt such heat, such longing, such danger and desire all at once. The library, the books, the quiet, everything vanished. It was just us. We pulled back, breathless, laughing nervously. "We shouldn't," I whispered. "Maybe we shouldn't," he said, smirking, "or maybe we should." From that night, our relationship became a thrilling secret. We stole moments in quiet corners, under the watchful eyes of books and fading sunlight. The chemistry between us was undeniable, and each encounter only deepened the connection. We shared whispers, touches, and soft kisses, all under the guise of professionalism. There were challenges, of course. Rumors began to circulate among students, suspicious glances from professors, and the constant tension of keeping our relationship hidden. But every challenge only made the bond stronger. Ethan had a way of calming my fears, of making me feel seen and cherished. One night, after a particularly long thesis session, he walked me to the gates. Rain began to fall, soft and persistent, soaking our coats. "I need to tell you something," he said, voice serious. "I care about you. Not just now, but I think I could love you forever." Tears pricked my eyes. "Ethan, I feel the same." I was terrified I was imagining this. He smiled, brushing the rain from my hair, and kissed me passionately, letting the world disappear. The rain, the library, the books, they didn't matter anymore. Over the following months, we became inseparable. Library sessions turned into dinner dates, walks in the park, and whispered conversations in empty lecture halls. I learned about his dreams, his desire to become a published writer, his passion for literature, his soft, tender heart beneath the confident exterior. I shared my fears, my hopes, and my vulnerabilities, and he held them with care. By the end of the semester, Ethan handed me a small leather-bound journal. "For you," he said, eyes shining. "For all the poems we've read, and all the ones we haven't written yet." Inside, the first page bore a single line, "I was just an assistant, but now I'm yours forever." We laughed, cried, and kissed right there in the middle of the library, surrounded by the very stories that had brought us together. And in that moment, I realized that some love stories aren't found in novels, they're written in secret moments, in stolen glances, and in hearts that refuse to stay silent. Years later, we would look back and laugh at how it all began in the quiet library, amidst dusty books and soft whispers. But for now, as the rain fell outside and the world continued unaware, I held him close and knew one thing for certain: my heart had been stolen, and I had given mine willingly, completely, forever.